Hello YouTube, it is Chris here, and in today's episode we are going to be talking about something pretty interesting about survival gear. Welcome back everybody, and thank you for sticking with me. Now this is going to be a talking video, so it's not going to be as popular as a lot of my testing videos per se. So hopefully everybody just sits down and relaxes and listens that chooses to. Now for anybody who watches any channel bigger than mine, that's an outdoor channel, you've probably heard about this. The particular channels I will reference, and I will call out the channels, and it's totally okay, because keep in mind, I totally respect all these channels. I'm actually subscribed to all these channels, and I absolutely love watching their channels. It's just we're going to have a slightly difference in opinion on this one particular subject, and I've had people who disagreed with me plenty of times before, and that's totally okay. That's the beauty of this community, of how diverse everyone really is. So the channels we will be referencing are Prepared Mind 101, Chris Tanner, Ben from Living Survival, and that guy, I keep forgetting his name, but the dude from Budget Bug Out. So apparently he just made a video, and I finally just watched it because I was just seeing these videos from Living Survival and just now Prepared Mind 101, and I was trying to figure out, like, where is this coming from? This is so out of character for what they do typically, because I watch the videos a lot. They have some antics, they have their own little sense of dry humor and things like that, but they really were like driving a very big point home, and I was like, wow, this is really serious. What is all this about? So I watched this video, and Budget Bug Out took a flashlight, chunked it, and threw it. Now, I can't ever talk crap because I'm one of the most extreme people I've ever seen, but with caveats. From what I've seen, and we'll reference exact things that were said in the video, is we'll use this first reference, which is Ben from Living Survival's video. He says that, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm paraphrasing, keep in mind, I'm not stealing words out of his mouth or anything, I'm taking from what I remember from the video. He goes, I've handled enough gear, I've been doing this enough times that I can touch a piece of gear and know if it's quality or not, if it's crap. And generally speaking, in a way, you kind of can. Like, you could pick up a knife like a 4-Max and go, wow, this is a friggin' tank. It's just so solid. Oh my god, this thing is, whew. You get that vibe, right? Yes. However, in that particular statement, is that saying that I can say with 100% certainty that 4-Max is just bomb-proof and every single one that it ever comes out is going to be the shit? Probably not. And to be able to say things like that, or ever call yourself an expert, and I don't think any of the channels ever directly said that, but it takes a lot of engineering degrees, a lot of equipment that none of us have, and a lot of analytical data on a scientific level that we just can't accomplish. We are dudes. We are dudes and chicks. We are everyday people who chose to help people, just like Chris from Prepared Mind 101 said, is we help everyday people get a closer look at gear. That's all we do. Now, I want to reference why I do what I do. Now, keep in mind, no one's attacked me and no one said anything negative to me. I've had a couple, I was mentioned in the comments by some other people, but my viewers know me and they know why I do what I do. But some people don't know this about me or my wife. Now, on several different occasions, separately and together throughout my life, keyword, like, years and years and years spanning, in a state that I lived in the Northeast, I was attacked and there was an attempted mugging. Well, it wasn't very successful because I had really good equipment on me, and I took care of business, defended myself, and I went home just fine. But even though I came out victorious, I was very scared during that event, and anyone that ever dares admit they weren't is a liar. It's very scary because you don't know who they are, you don't know what this person's capable of, and you don't know 100% if you are going to be able to make that decision, the right one, the first time. Are you going to overreact? Are you going to underreact? Are you going to freeze? Are you going to be able to handle yourself professionally and get yourself home? Before I met my wife, aka Outdoor Mama, She is a huge proponent on martial arts training and really high quality gear, because in her life she has been attacked and someone like attempted to kidnap and rape her. And luckily for her, she has 2 black belts in various martial arts, and she has edge weapon training. And she doesn't really talk about it a lot, but that guy ended up in the hospital. It was a big dude, much bigger than me. I am 5'9", 250 pounds. I'm a big boy. And she took down someone bigger. So I know full well that if my wife ever wants to end me, she's ready to go. Also, in another instance, when I still lived in Indiana, we were on our way to Chicago, and it was winter. We were driving, and we got into a very severe car accident with our old car. And we hit ice slicks, and we slid on the road, and we ended up in a very, very dangerous predicament. There was cars everywhere, and luckily for us, we had the gear we needed. I already had my channel at the time, and we lived through it just fine. You know, obviously, the kids are safe and everything, and no one was seriously hurt, but we were stranded for a long time. It was extremely cold temperatures. Luckily, we had all of the jackets and flashlights and road flares and the proper gear we needed, high quality gear, to see us through for several hours until emergency help actually arrived, because it was a freak storm. There's a lot of ice on the road, and not a single person stopped to help us. So in that instance, we were all alone. And last but not least, another instance that we were in, I was about 6 hours away from my house here in San Antonio. This is when I first moved here. And when we were on our way back from this very long trip in Texas, our car broke down, and we were stranded for several days, almost an entire week, away from my kids. We were away from shelter, safety. We were away from everything. And I had to rely on my wits, all of my friends, networking, calling people. Just, you know, it was a very scary situation. But we had the gear, we knew what to do, and we were able to finally get home safely. So with me and my channel, I have a very vested interest and a very strong desire to make sure knives, flashlight, camping gear, road flares, emergency equipment, anything that I choose to bring to the channel, anything that I choose to test, I hold it to a very high standard, because I know in several instances that I've had to deal with personally in my life, and I know some friends have had to deal with my life. My life has actually been on the line having to depend on this gear. So for me, I'm very thankful that I have a outdoor channel, I have a survival channel, and I truly feel beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you were going to put the words, you know, just like their title, Living Survival. Brian was not in this at all, and it's okay. But his is survival on purpose. Chris's is Prepared Mind 101. My channel is called Drop Forged Survival. Budget Bug Out is basically budgeted bug out gear, survival gear. So we're all in that related scenario of survival. Survival, emergency situations, shit hit the fan, whatever you want to call your apocalyptic scenario, whether it's a micro disaster, you know, such as a winter storm, a tornado, an earthquake, a mugging, a home invasion, anything of that nature, all the way up to levels of, you know, I don't know, a huge tsunami rips open like 200 miles of east or west coast territory and just rips everybody open. Or we have a Hurricane Katrina kind of thing. God forbid that ever happens again, because those things are freaking scary. But I feel, and this is just my opinion, keep it in mind, it's just my opinion, no one else's, that if we are going to put that survival tag in our channel, we should want to expect certain gear. And the topic was mostly in this particular instance about flashlights, and that's okay, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But we should expect that gear to be able to handle situations that are not normal. Because survival, emergency situations are not normal. They're extreme. It's a flipped over car. It's a being swept away down a river. That is enduring a huge storm where you have power outages, where you have to depend on basic equipment and not modern convenience to keep yourself and your family or your loved ones or just yourself alive. That's an extreme situation. And as a survival channel, we need to expect a lot from gear. And if they want to advertise themselves or showcase themselves or be tested on a survival channel, they need to be able to be up to snuff. And I can say very proudly that a lot of flashlights that I've tested from various price ranges, from and upwards of $200 and as low as $20, I have seen about 90 to 95% of the flashlights that I have put through some ridiculously harsh testing pass. And another beautiful instance that a lot of the channels in the 3 videos talked about is the companies that were, for instance, flashlights. They have excellent warranties. They actually really do. I think ThruNite a few years back was only a 1-year warranty, and there was like a 30-day thing, but now they just kind of bumped it all the way up because they gained popularity and they were able to afford the budget. They decided to back and trust their products, and I think they've built their stuff up a little bit better. Is they just have a flat rate 2-year warranty. We'll just replace it, and that's freaking awesome. And I am not harping on any company. I'm not touching bases on anything, so do not get that twisted. Please don't twist my words. But production items can, should, and probably will fail. There are mass-produced items. Things like flashlights and production knives and things like that, combs, toothpicks, you know, I mean, anything you can imagine, they are built by the hundreds and thousands per day. That is just a blisteringly mind-blowing speed. Now, if one channel runs into an issue where something does fail, whether it's normal testing or extreme testing, that in no way should, would, or will, or should ever constitute that that company sucks. Especially if like a dozen other people say and or have tested an item and go, you know what, well, that was probably just a lemon. So you take it back to the company, you tell them what happened, and you get it fixed, test the new one and see what happens. And if it fixes, go, well, you know, it's a fluke, it's a production item, it's just what happens. However, on the flip side, let's say, for instance, we'll use Olight, because Olight is a very trusted brand on my end, but I still will test every single model regardless. My concept is always trust and verify. I never, just because Olight has done an amazing job 99.9% of the time doesn't mean I will automatically trust them forever. I need to trust. I will test every single model regardless because of my concept and how I feel and choose to want my gear to perform, because I have been in life-threatening situations. So in an EDC situation, a pack situation, I want to know that I can sit on gear or carry gear every day, and it's going to have my back no matter what. But that's just me. But with that said, the title of Chris's video was, you know, basically getting back to reality. Let's not have super high expectations. But within that same video, and I can see, and if he chooses the comment, and I am totally open to it, because I'm never here to bash him or anybody else. It's not what I'm about. Because I love Chris Tanner to death. He's supported my channel fully quite a few times, and he's been a very, very good YouTuber in general, in my opinion. I like his stuff. I watch his stuff all the time. But in that video, he kind of said something a little interesting, like, let's go back to reality. But then he showed, and this is me as an observation, he spent 3 minutes showing off how he used to brutalize and torture test and go to extreme lengths for flashlights. And that's what I do. And I was just like, dude, you just were saying come back to reality, but you openly showed off and admitted that you shot a flashlight with an arrow. And that is actually at the point that I stopped watching the video, so I could be missing quite a few things, and it's okay. And I'm willing to accept that. But I was put in the comments of that video, and someone goes, yeah, this guy threw it off a 50-foot bridge, and his Olight S30R version 3 baton failed, and the guy's just freaking extreme. And he goes, oh yeah, that's the DFS channel, he's freaking crazy. I thought that was kind of funny, because yes, they're right. They're 400% right. It is extreme, definitely. But I say that though. I totally admit that, and I'm very upfront about that. I call myself out ahead of time. But what I choose to do, and I believe truly that my viewers, basically the people that are subscribed to me, who watch my channel regularly, they don't just watch 1 or 2 videos, I mean, they're like pretty religious about it. They know my philosophy. So we'll use the EA21 from Nightcore, for instance. I am going to go outside, and I'm going to do beam shots and go over specs and talk about things just like everyone else does. And that is what we should do. We should talk about things we like, the ergonomics, the types of batteries, the weight, the pocket carry clips, the lenses, the throw, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, yada, yada, yada. That's what we should do. We should always do that. And something I feel that we should always do is take it outside, turn it on, and show everybody what it does. And you're probably in that situation are going to get the dime a dozen concept. You're going to see 17,000 channels do the same 17,000 things. However, I'm trying to separate myself because I have been in a real world life-threatening situation. So is my family, so is my wife. And I refuse to accept nothing less than items that I can count on. Now, I have levels of what I call reliability. And I have a standardized, so for flashlights in general, I have a standardized set of testing, and I'm developing standardized testing for like folding knives. I'm working on that. And if a knife is super hardcore tough tank built like the Formax, I will probably send it to another level because of the fact that, I mean, this is just a freaking tank. This is like scary tough. Anyway, so for flashlights in general, I like to dunk it underwater because that's what it's rated for. I throw it off a 15-foot balcony. I live in a second-story apartment, and that's what I do. And it has soft, hard ground. It depends on the day. Texas soil can be extremely brutal, extremely harsh, extremely hard. It can be almost as hard as concrete. You can ask anybody who lives here, who's spent any summers here. It's crazy how strong, how brutal and just unforgiving the landscape can be. But then other times, if we get a tsunami for like 3 days straight, it's like this moist little mush and it goes bleh, and it does nothing. So you can throw it, I could throw it down 83 times and it won't ever break it. At any rate, I throw it off the bridge because it exceeds the standard. I do that on purpose. Because if I test that flashlight and you see that it exceeds the standard successfully, then you can go, whoa, that's pretty cool, man. This thing's only rated for a 1.5 meter drop, but Chris did 3 meter drops and was chucking it and throwing it, and it still passed. That's incredible. That's amazing. And also, then I put it through the freeze test. And that's just a personal thing I do to subject a flashlight's electronic circuits to cold temperatures, because there are plenty of people who live in Ohio, Minnesota, North Dakota, Utah, Washington State, Canada, Alaska, northern areas like Mongolia, Japan, South Korea. Those places get freaking insanely cold in the winter. And if you need a flashlight at night and you can't see where you're going, the conditions in a winter scenario when there's a lot of ice on the ground, there's heavy winds, there's snow everywhere, that's extremely dangerous because there is absolutely no sunlight, no respite from the cold at all except for fire or warmth of shelter. Those are the only respite you get. So for me, if you have to use a flashlight in that situation, I would want to know that it can handle those brutally cold temperatures, because you're gonna be subjected to it. And some people are like, well, just wrap it up in my jacket and put it up. Yeah, but what if you got stuck in an emergency? Keyword, emergency for several hours. You're gonna have to use your hands to either fix your car, or go wave down help, or go climb over a fence, or whatever you end up doing to need to do that. So the balance point here that I'm trying to get across is the fact that I go out of my way to, yes, take things to a higher level. And we'll reference the bridge testing video that I do. The bridge test. That's gratuitous. Like, gratuitous and extremely violent. And I talk about it every single portion of the video. It is extreme. It's 1000% extreme. And I tell people that there is absolutely no winning in this for me. And I also let people know that if a flashlight passes, which a lot of them do, like this A-Tactical A1 flashlight, just soared right past it, still to this day works really well. And it was slammed into concrete in rocks from 50 feet. It's insane. And it passed. Now, if it would have broke, I'd be like, oh, well, that sucks. And I would have talked to him, try to get a new one and all that stuff. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have, though. But anyway, what I'm trying to get to is that's gratuitous testing. But here's my thing is, if it passes, if a flashlight, for instance, because that's the subject matter this video tends to be centered around for whatever reason, if it passes the 315-foot drop test, if it passes the water submersion, and it passes the freeze testing for me, those are my 3 big standardized tests. I can give that recommendation as this flashlight is a solid freaking quality flashlight. If you need it in a pack, if you need it for EDC, I can recommend it. And I say that all the time. Also, if a flashlight passes the 50-foot drop test, I kind of feel that's like one of the harshest tests. And someone said that was an extreme test, but the funny thing is I actually have to cross that bridge when I go walking on the trail and I go work out. I have to cross that bridge all the time, whether I do it in the evening, in the early morning, or at night. And there are like little segway holes. It's like a little like braided little gate thing. There's these big, huge, like 4-foot gaps for water let off when it rains. So there's these huge holes all the way through the bridge. So let's say I was walking, right? And there was a huge wind gust, or I'm accidental, and I drop it. There's actually, what's funny is there's a very real chance that I could actually just accidentally fall. And it's totally realistic. Just for me, for instance, for that particular scenario. But how would you feel knowing that your flashlight dropped? You run around the 2 miles to finally go pick it up, and you find out it still works. You're like, whoa, this flashlight's freaking bomb-proof, man. I love this flashlight. And you would recommend it to everybody you know. And that's what I do. If the flashlight passes, I recommend it to everybody I know. And I feel that's one of the most extreme tests you could ever put a flashlight through, a 50-foot drop. So, and I know I'm rambling, and that's for the people who actually decide to watch this, I'm sorry. But if a flashlight passes a 50-foot drop, oh, this one did. I can say with 99% positivity that that flashlight, you could depend on it with your life, no matter what, no matter how extreme the situation. With this particular sample of this particular model or this particular brand that I chose to test, this sample, I can say there's probably a really good chance that you can trust it with your life because my particular model can handle it. So basically what I'm saying is if you get a version of this flashlight that it works as it's supposed to, you are going to be fine and A-okay no matter what weird situation you get put into. Now, does that mean that every single Olight R50 Seeker LE edition is going to be fucking bomb-proof and they're never going to break? That's not true. I'm probably sure there's about 12 of them or 20,000 of them that probably break. It's just how it goes. It's still a production flashlight. But I know for a fact that in general, Olight goes out of the way to make things of high quality. And I know that's the same for ThruNite and Nitecore and this particular sample, A Tactical A1. This thing freaking blew me away for the price point. And that's why I was so up in arms about this A Tactical flashlight, because it was so cheap and they still kind of gave it the same standard. So all in all, I guess I said all of that rambling to say this. For me, I was thrown in the comments. That's the only reason I even jumped into this crap anyway. I do what I do, and I do my type of testing for my particular reasons, because my family's been in life-threatening situations, and I choose to want my gear to uphold to a very extreme conditions, because I need to know if I am in a life-threatening situation, my family's in a life-threatening situation, or God forbid ever any of my viewers get put into a life-threatening situation. If I decide and I dare throw my thumbs up on an item that I can feel that I'm making a good conscious decision to give them my recommendation. And there's going to be plenty of people that think I'm crazy, think I'm extreme, or think I'm psychotic or stupid. But those are my reasons, and I stick to them, and I will not feel ashamed for them. I will not apologize for them ever. And my viewers understand that, and that's totally okay. And that might shed a little bit of light for people who didn't know or understand before, and there will still be 1,000 people who disagree with me, and that's totally 100% okay. I am totally fine with it. And there are still some of my viewers in some aspects who totally disagree with me on some things that I do. But what I like about what they choose to do is they give me positive, constructive criticism with a purpose. And what I mean by that is they don't go, oh, you're a fucking idiot, and they just blow you off and call you stupid and unsubscribe. No, they understand that I am a Joe Schmo, that I am just a regular dude in a crappy 2-bedroom apartment who is just like everybody else, who has to share a freaking crappy car with his wife to get around and do what we gotta do. But I choose to try to work on stuff. So they'll send me private messages, and literally every single time I post a video, I get between 15 to 30 messages every single video. In between things like rock on, thumbs up, that was the coolest video I've ever seen, I love that item, or I'll get something like, hey dude, that's really cool. There was one test I disagree with you on, but here's why. Have you thought about doing this, or why did you choose to do that? I just want to understand, and it's totally okay. And we kind of talk back and forth, and we figure things out. I get hit up by a couple of police officers every now and then who talk to me and it's like, hey man, I liked your video, but I agree with this, but I didn't agree with that, and this is why, because I mean we've seen some pretty crazy crap in our time on the force and blah blah and yada yada, and we don't really run into that kind of stuff. So I mean, I think that's maybe a little silly or a little extreme, but overall I think you've got a good concept going and you'll refine it and you'll do better. Good thumbs up, keep it up, you're doing a good job. So some of my viewers do tend to disagree with me, and that is their total right, and they should. They shouldn't take everything I say as gospel of scripture. I'm a freaking dude. I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form, and I never will claim to be. And no other channel should ever do, unless they actually go to the way and get certification. They go, boom, these are my certs. I'm a professional. See, I got a degree in it. But that's the absolute beauty of my channel, is I want to learn, I want to grow, and I want to thrive and keep moving forward. But at this particular time and point in my channel and my life, I feel that it is absolutely necessary to be able to hold gear in general. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a hammock. I don't care if it's a canteen. I don't care if it's a knife. I don't care if it's a fire starter. I don't care if it's a multi-tool. I don't care if it's a freaking shower comb. I don't care if it's a toothbrush, a pair of gloves, or a flashlight. I don't care. I want to hold it to a high standard. I have a standard to which I want things to perform at, and I try to be pretty realistic about expectations, but I also try to keep that small caveat in the back of my brain is, if I was in a survival situation and this was the item that was in my pocket, or this was the item that was in my glove box, or this was the item that was in my car, or this was in my bug out bag, could I trust this item with my life? And if you're not 400% sure, you probably shouldn't carry it. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed my ranting and rambling and conversational pieces, and it wasn't designed to bash anybody, and do not ever tell anyone that I ever tried to bash them, because I do not. I will refute that 100%. I respect all the channels that I talked about and mentioned, Budget Bug Out, Ben from Living Survival, and Chris from Prepared by 101. They are just vastly awesome dudes, and I will hopefully one day get to meet them and shake their hand and just congratulate them on the massive, stupid amount of success they've attained. But in this particular instance, we happen to have diverging opinions, and that is just what humans do. Even best friends and family members disagree. My two sons are perfect examples of that. They are brothers, they spend every day with each other, and I catch them at least 3 times a day wanting to rip each other's faces off and punch each other in the head because they disagreed about a silly app or a game or a card game or a rule or something like that. It's just how we are as humans. We are going to disagree and agree about plenty of things throughout the course of our life. So I hope that if any of those channels watch this, they understand that I am not in any way trying to bash them at all. I will not do that. That is not my style. I'm not that kind of person. But so that's my official thing. Ben, Budget Bug Out, Chris, I respect you guys. You guys are awesome. I think you guys have wonderful channels. I love watching your stuff videos. Keep literally doing what you do every single day. You guys are incredible. But we just have a difference of opinion. That's just how it is, and it's really cool. And I totally get where you guys are coming from, and I hope you guys understand where I come from personally and why I do what I do. But God bless. I hope you guys have an absolute wonderful day. I'm out.